we decided to focus on food insecurity as the main source of our capstone. Food insecurity, for those of you who don't know, it's not knowing where your next meal is going to come from throughout the day. So you're constantly thinking about where your next meal is coming from. And this is something that's very close to us personally, so we decided to focus our capstone on it. The area that we are specifically focusing on is Monroeville. I don't know if you guys know where Monroeville is, but it's like the last stop on the turnpike before you get Pittsburgh. We specifically focused on McGinnis Sisters. It's a local grocery store within Monroeville. They have a couple stores around the area. I work there. I've worked there since I was 16-year-old. Kenzie works there as well, so we had access, which is what made it so opportune.
Well, starting with the causes of food waste, we got the idea because we saw so much waste being thrown away in our local grocery store. I also worked in a restaurant, so I saw tons of food being thrown away all the time. So our take on it was that we found 5 different causes for food waste, starting with mismanagement. Specifically in the McGinnis location, mismanagement is caused by having so many different sectors in one grocery store. There's deli, there's meat, there's the bakery, and all of them have their own supervisors, none of which have the same system for food waste. Nobody really keeps track of it. Nobody is assigned to keep track of it. There are also no policies in place focusing on food waste, so everybody kind of just has at it. Disorganization is the second cause. When new hires enter the establishment, they don't receive very much training. So they're tossed into the job because it's very easy to grasp, but they're not taught specifics. So in order to get the job done, they're not focusing on all the mistakes they made or any food that gets thrown away in the process. High food standards are another common reason why there's so much waste in grocery stores, because not only the customer but also the establishment are focusing on perfect products. People want to walk into a store and pay top dollar for perfect packaging, pretty products, something that's not dented or smushed or something. Even though it might taste the same and it might be completely edible, people are going to pick around a product that doesn't look beautiful. 20 to 40% of food waste, according to the Washington Post, is from just cosmetic imperfections. Nothing wrong with the actual food. Time magazine states that $160 million is lost in food waste just because of food imperfections. Expiration dates are the next leading cause. Sell-by dates and expiration dates are completely different, and the audience or the common person doesn't really know how to use them properly. Expiration dates actually have about 5 to 7 days left on the food after those go by, and sell-by dates are commonly used by consumers. They look at those dates and they think, oh, well, the food must be spoiled by the sell-by date, when that's not necessarily true. That's only used by the grocer to figure out how long the product has been on the shelf and when to pull it or when to rotate it, things like that. Improper storage is another cause that individuals have at home, because Tupperware containers don't always work for everything. Some people don't know that onions don't necessarily have to be refrigerated before they're cut. Bread doesn't have to go in the fridge. It actually lasts longer if you leave it outside of the fridge. These are common reasons why the individual at home might end up throwing away food that isn't necessarily bad. The causes eventually lead to harms in the community. Monroeville citizens have a high percentage of food insecurity. About 14% in Monroeville are living with food insecurity, which is not knowing where their next meal is coming from. So by reallocating the food in the grocery stores and at home, we can prevent a lot of that. Approximately 1 out of 7 people in Monroeville are living on the SNAP program. I'm not sure if any of you know what that is. It's the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So that gives aid to people who are impoverished in the Monroeville community. It seems really easy. A lot of people would just say, why don't you donate the food to food banks and such? Well, that's because of a lot of health restrictions that are put on all the grocery stores. We can't just hand them leftover food or something that's broken. You know, that has to meet a certain amount of restrictions, which prevents us from donating a lot of the food. Either it's not picked up or it just doesn't meet the requirements. Also, in Monroeville, the McGinnis location often ends up compensating in prices for the waste that they do in store. The price price for just a glass jar of cherry juice is $15 as opposed to a regular thing of juice, which is usually a lot cheaper. So in order to make up for all the waste that we throw away, they don't keep track of it, so they just hike up the prices, which means that a lot of consumers avoid McGinnis Sisters because it's just too expensive. The cost of the product transportation and packaging and displaying is all paid for, which is another waste that we have to deal with, because the store is still paying for the product to be produced, to be shown and put out there, but the consumer is the one who decides that they don't want to buy that product, and it ends up just being tossed instead of reallocated. Individually in homes, approximately $1,000 to $2,000 is wasted in every household just because of wasted goods, which is a huge way that a lot of families can save money but just aren't thinking about it because they aren't seeing it in terms of dollars. They're just seeing it as wasted food, leftovers that are only good enough for their dogs. Employee morale is another issue, another harm that we have to deal with at the McGinnis location, because a lot of the employees are actually people who are food insecure. They don't get paid that much money. They're putting a lot of hard work into their products, but they might stop doing that because they know that a percentage of the food that they put their effort into is just going to be thrown away. It would also further lower that morale because they're not allowed to take that food home. Say they accidentally broke a cookie. They're supposed to throw that food away instead of doing something like taking it home to their family or something. There's nothing wrong with the food, they just can't sell it. Finally, throwing that much food into landfills is a huge issue because we put it in plastic bags and it doesn't get composted or go back into the soil. It ends up being turned into methane gas or turned into, what you guys know as a greenhouse gas. Next, she's going to talk about the methodology that we use through our project.
So specifically for this project, we thought it would be most effective if we focused on the store and then the community as well, because this is such a wide issue. It's not just grocery stores that are throwing stuff away. It's not just people in individual homes throwing stuff away. It's both ends of the spectrum. So we decided to do a two-pronged approach, if you will, focusing on the company and the community. For the company, we focused on a time period of Thanksgiving over the holiday season, because that is when most grocery stores throw away a lot of product, because you just can't always anticipate the needs of every customer over the holiday season. With that said, we implemented a chart to keep track of what was being thrown away every day, opposed to what could have been used elsewhere. This brought employees into the mindset of we should be saving stuff as much as possible, and it shows that number, that every tick mark, every tally, if you will, is something that is being thrown away, and it's not just, oh, it's in the trash, I don't have to think about it anymore. It's a visual. Additionally, we started reallocating a lot of the resources. So we work in the bakery department. We would take bread that was stale or bread that didn't sell, we would cube it, make it into croutons or breadcrumbs, thank you, that's the word. Breadcrumbs for the meat department to use. So a lot of it was in store, but also it was stuff that could be sold to consumers. I mean, Thanksgiving stuffing. We sold so many loaves of bread that would have just been tossed out otherwise as cubes for stuffing. So that was really great. And McGinnis was really enthusiastic about taking on some of these ideas. Obviously, it was saving them money. It's saving employees time and morale. A lot of the harms that Kenzie was talking about. As far as the community aspect, we actually went into McGinnis Sisters on November 30th, that's 1 week ago today, and did a class with members of the Monroeville and surrounding communities. I don't know where all the people were from, but, and that's actually the pamphlet and the cheat sheet that you guys have with you today. What the class focused on was basically what we're doing here today, is telling people the harms and the causes and how easy it is to reallocate the food that you're just throwing away otherwise. So we started, again, as Kenzie was saying, with the cosmetic defects, the sell-by dates, and just educating people on those, because a lot of people, I mean, before we started this, I had no idea that a sell-by date wasn't the end-all be-all for products. And then we went into specific recipes to use leftovers over and over again. Personally, I hate eating leftover turkey for like 2 weeks straight. I don't know about you guys, maybe you like that sort of thing. But we explain a lot of recipes on here that I think a lot of people like, and we made a couple of things there because it is a grocery store and we have access to that sort of thing. Later on, we went into talking about composting, which was the surprise hit of the class. We kind of just threw it in there as something because we're greenies, I guess you would say. But many people were very interested about hearing about the composting. We got information from Compost Now. It's a company that is currently in Raleigh, but they are creating satellite companies around the country. For only about $25 a month, they come into cafes, cafes, restaurants, homes, and they you get a container to compost practically anything. You can put meat, bones, produce, you can put practically anything. Pizza boxes can be composted in this container, and then they return the soil to you so that you can use it, or in the case of McGinnis, you can sell it, which, I mean, we found interesting. Additionally, I showed another site. It's savefoodcutwaste.com, and if you type in what you have in your fridge, it'll tell you something that you can make out of that. And I thought personally that was interesting for me, being a college student and having a can of soup and a box of pasta in my fridge. It was pretty helpful for me. The cost of the class was actually about $5 because I needed cranberry sauce for one of my recipes, and that was our only cost, was the cranberry sauce. But other than that, I mean, McGinnis already had everything available for us to use. My voice is completely cracking right now, and I can't stop it. And so I'm gonna give it over to Kenzie.
We're just going to end with some recommendations, some further action you would like to see throughout our project. We didn't have time to fully implement everything that we wanted to get done. We would like to see another class done at McGinnis that would focus just on composting, teaching people how to do it in their own homes, maybe gathering signatures, because you need 500 signatures to get Compost Now to come to your local area to get started. So we could start working with the community and get them involved and maybe push composting in Monroeville and actually get it moving. We would also like to change our waste charts that we introduced at McGinnis. Instead of using paper in every department, we would like to set up a dry erase board so we wouldn't have to continue using paper. We would be able to keep track of how much was thrown out at the end of each week and then plug it straight into our computer. And then we would be able to take that information and then change things for the next year. Also, training and communication, we would like to improve that as well. When new hires come into the building, we would introduce a more specified training system rather than just tossing them into the mix and letting them figure things out for themselves. Maybe assign trainers, something like that. We would also create a system that requires all supervisors to work with each other, brainstorm ideas to fix up what leftovers they have at the end of each week and use them in other departments. If necessary, we can just have weekly meetings or something like that. It's just depending on what McGinnis is willing to put up with. Also, we would like to end with implementing a policy that was currently, or in the past used. It focused on allowing employees to take goods home that are second-day goods or broken goods and take them for half price. The reason this was not implemented in the past or taken out of effect was because a lot of people were abusing the system. You know, break a cookie, you get to take it home for half price. So that's something we need to work through, try and help the people who are food insecure at McGinnis who have jobs there, but on the other hand, we can't just, give all the food away for free to people who take advantage of it. So these are some of the issues that we've been trying to work through. We'll probably continue working with McGinnis in the future, but that's the general idea of our capstone. Does anybody have any questions, any suggestions, anything you would like to see in a class in the future that would inspire you to go?
Yeah, we didn't think so. Thank you.